Paul Gale from paulgalenetwork.com, and thank you for joining me today for this unboxing video of the Nintendo Switch OLED model, specifically the white edition of the system, which just came out. I'm excited, and I will also be showing a little bit of a side-by-side to the original Nintendo Switch box. This is the Generation 1 unit that came out March 3rd, 2017. Of course, this just dropped on October 8th, 2021, which is kind of wild to think that over 4.5 years have already passed. And this system is still at a really healthy point in its lifespan, you know? We're approaching 5 years now, and a lot of systems at that point in time start to lose their draw. You know, we start getting really excited for the next generation console that follows the line of Nintendo, Sega back in the day, PlayStation, Xbox consoles. And here we are with a revision of sorts, being the Nintendo Switch Lite that came out in 2019. Another upgraded model of this with just the battery pack really being what was new, also in 2019. And now, 2 years later, the OLED model, which isn't an upgrade in terms of graphical horsepower or anything like that, but has a little bit of a different form factor. It is a little wider. Largely though, the screen goes from a 6.2-inch screen to a 7-inch screen. The HDMI output is of a higher quality, so we're going to get better speeds down the road, potentially out of the dock that can be updated. The system itself won't produce visuals in a 4K manner on your TV screen, but the dock is capable of transferring at a 4K quality. So it'll be interesting. Maybe the dock will be future compatible with an eventual Nintendo Switch 2 or a Nintendo Switch Plus, right? Kind of speculative talk, but the screen is also glass instead of plastic. It's an OLED screen instead of an LCD. The speakers are said to be of a better quality, so that's also nice. Of course, it's got a bigger kickstand in the back instead of this thing, which honestly has served me well. It has taken a little bit of time to, get it just right when you're putting it on a flat surface. But you put it on a flat surface and there you go. You just kind of have to turn it like that. Okay, that's how I want it. Yeah. So, when we check out the new one, early reports indicate that it's much better and of a different quality build, but, I'll give you my impressions on itself. I went with the white dock just to change things up. The original came with a black dock. But beyond that, and the fact that it's a 64 gigs internal instead of 32, the system's largely the same, but a lot of hype is around it. There's a lot of talk. The early sales are great. As of this recording, it is November 9th, and Nintendo recently had their quarter financials. We know that the Nintendo Switch family of systems is now over 93 million. It was just about 93, but since then, that went up until September 30th, 2021. Now another month plus has passed, definitely over 93 million, which is impressive. The system has a long way to go until I think it reaches that boring point, We've got a full-on year up ahead of hits with Pokemon Diamond and Pearl remake coming out this fall, Shin Megami Tensei 5 this fall, a Big Brain Academy Big Brain Edition coming out this fall. 2022 is off to a great start with a brand new Kirby game, Pokemon Legends Arceus, a Bayonetta 3, Triangle Strategy, a Splatoon 3, Bayonetta 3, the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, at some point, Metroid Prime 4. That doesn't sound like a system that's kind of fading away and is getting ready for that next-gen successor, right? No, that's like a really healthy system that might be in its third year where it's kind of peaking. Games that have been in development for a while that weren't ready for launch, as developers are getting more of a mastery of the system and are releasing it in year 3. And no, these games will be releasing in year 5 and beyond, because we are at the 4.5-year point now, and as of March 3rd next year, that'll be the 5-year mark. Well, plenty of the titles that I just mentioned are coming out after that. And we don't even know what's going to be the surprise at the next Direct. A new Donkey Kong game potentially. What else does Nintendo have cooking? Will Mario Kart 9 eventually come out? We had Metroid Dread drop. That was really hot. Will we have a Metroid Prime HD or a trilogy or some type of remake within? more Zelda games from Wii U era, some more Wii U ports like of Xenoblade Chronicles, Star Fox Zero, Yoshi's Woolly World. You know, there's a lot more that they can do with this system in terms of both porting over existing games from the Wii U era that have yet to be here, which will be realized and portrayed in a better manner, more powerful hardware, and be a part of a much healthier, larger ecosystem, right? 93 million people instead of just under 14. So for most folks out there that pick up these Wii U titles that have yet to be ported, they will be brand new experiences. And like, the room for growth is just so tremendous with bringing back old IP that haven't been around in a while, like a new F-Zero. Now's the time to do that, you know? New installments in the Xenoblade Chronicles franchise with a Xenoblade Chronicles 3, another Fire Emblem, you know, a sequel to ARMS perhaps, a Pikmin 4. We're getting non-stop game, one after the other, that on the Nintendo Switch, they're doing best ever sales numbers, you know, for each respective franchise. Mario Party, Pikmin, Luigi's Mansion, Smash Brothers, Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. Soon to be the best-selling Pokemon games in history, just shy of the original Red, Blue, and Green. Currently Gold and Silver are number 2, but Sword and Shield are going to be hot on those heels very soon, 500,000 or so away. Anyways, that was a little bit of a extra talk of how I feel the system is at, how it still feels new. You know, despite being 4.5 years old, and yeah, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X are out there. The graphical difference and quality is starting to increase more and more, but the form factor is still fun. We're still getting games that are coming out at the same time as they are on, you know, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S and X on Nintendo Switch, such as the upcoming GTA Trilogy, the Definitive Edition, which, yes, are 3 older games, but coming out day and date on Nintendo Switch. So it's a new experience for everyone at once. And on the Nintendo Switch, it's still holding up fine. And you get that dual experience of having it on TV at home and on the go. That has not gotten old. And even with the Steam Deck coming out, you know, the Nintendo Switch is still going to be the only place to play Nintendo games. So I really see it as, yeah, it's kind of why Nintendo has had a long halfway point, right? People are saying, well, how long is this system going to last? Is the halfway point that 4.5 year mark, suggesting that it's going to go 9 years? Or is that halfway point somewhere between years 4 and 6? So, you know, that middle chunk is the halfway point, and maybe it's 8, right? Are we at the beginning, midpoint, or tail end of halfway? And will they have a successor to this, or kind of an interim point like a Nintendo Switch Plus in 2023 and then have a Nintendo Switch 2 in 2025? That's a possibility. I decided to buy this. I had it at launch. Obviously, it launched on October 8th with Metroid Dread, which I got the Metroid Dread Special Edition, and I love the game. Currently, my game of the year is Metroid Dread. Fantastic. I've held off on opening this for a little bit of a longer amount of time, and now I'm happy to open it. What does this video serve in that case when everybody else has already opened theirs and given their impressions online? This is my own take. Why did I wait longer when I could have been one of the first to have it online? Well, I had some reasons of making sure that this is something that the household needed and that it would be beneficial. And yeah, is it truly needed? Well, as someone who plays a lot in TV mode and portable mode, I could say that, oh yeah, that feels good. Ooh, that feels really good. It would have been nicer if it did have, of course, that like 4K pop on TV, because I get about a 50-50 playtime with this, but my kids also play a lot. So it really was one of those, click, one of those things to think about. That's nice. Of whether it was truly needed or not. As a Nintendo fan, I absolutely wanted it, right? As someone who records content and puts it on paulgalenetwork.com and on YouTube, I absolutely want the latest, greatest, best thing out there. But as someone from a common sense standpoint, really evaluating it, is it needed? If it changed my experience on TV and in handheld mode, I would say, yeah, of course I need it, right? It's improving the experience 100% of the time that I play. Very cool. But if it's expanding my experience just half the time, is that truly necessary? However, as my kids are getting older, my son's about to turn 7, my daughter's not too far from turning 5, and they each have their own, 2DS XL, new 2DS XL, I should say. But having a second Nintendo Switch in our household is beginning to make more and more sense. Multiple people experiencing at the same time from a portable perspective. One person even playing on the TV, the other in portable mode, thinking about things for the last month, and yeah, deciding that now is the time to open up this box. I gave you that little comparison earlier. Well, I'm about to do a comparison. I gave you that little preview earlier of what it's like to put the Switch down. Yeah, and absolutely night and day difference between this kickstand on a box and this kickstand on a box. So they both function just fine, and that's a comparable angle between the two. But this one is limited to that angle, and as you can see, just has one point of contact, representing a very small surface area. This has a full backscale surface area, which goes alongside the entirety, almost, of the Nintendo Switch itself. There you go. That's on the new box. All right? If I wanted to go like that, make it a little more closed, boom. It reaches a point, of course, but why would you have it completely up at a 90-degree angle, right? You're not going to have it that high. I don't imagine a lot of people are going to play down like this, but maybe. But let's see. Each point of the way, it has a certain amount of resistance. That's pretty up there. Let's see, any more? Okay. I think this next point is the point where, it's going to close. That's really good quality. Looking at that screen, I'm going to put a screen protector on this. You can look at my original Nintendo Switch that I've had for, a little over 4.5 years. I put a screen protector on it, and the screen does have tiny little scratches here and there. The screen protector, I should say, very minimal, not really noticeable, not really a problem. I'm also very careful when taking the Switch out of the dock. However, you can see little scuff marks here on the black bezel of, where they come out of the dock more often, or, more often than any other part, I should say, on the screen. That's where they kind of touch at the end of the dock. But then again, I'm not the only person in the household who's playing. My wife is careful. My son and daughter are careful. But kids, naturally, their hands are smaller. They have a different understanding of grip. And even though they're really good with this, not to blame it on them, but, with 4 people taking it in and out, it just increases that likelihood of a little scuff to pop up, right? But it's okay overall. It's held its own. I'll be putting a protector on this. I'm actually going to turn it on for the first time. Let's see. What's the battery life on it? Is there a battery? No. So there actually is no on moment that I'm getting to experience right now. Perhaps there was one, but since I waited until November 9th to open it, that's why there's not. Like, maybe they did have a little bit of a charge while it was being shipped over. Hard to say. I wouldn't know, actually, because I didn't open it. Micro SD XC card slot right there. That's cool. Yeah, the hinge work right here is very solid. This is a good quality material. I like the feeling of this. The texture is different. Not to say this is cheap, but it looks like a cheaper plastic. This right here has more of a matte finish. This is cold to the touch. I wouldn't be surprised if it is metal. Everything else is the same. All Joy-Con are compatible across the OLED model and the original Nintendo Switch model. And if you have a version 2 red Nintendo Switch, same thing applies. Let's check out some of the other contents in the box. I don't have my black Nintendo Switch dock here. That's in the entertainment center. But if you know what it looks like, you know what it looks like. Here's the white dock. And ooh, that does look slick. This, of course, is that break-off point that people are showing. And now I'm showing you too. Instead of a hinge, Nintendo just opted this time to snap it off. It's a little bit different now because we've got that LAN adapter, which will be convenient for online gaming to make that a smoother, more reliable connection. We have your HDMI out and your AC adapter. That's the same. Cables still go through here to be nice and convenient. And let's see, how easy is that to snap back in place? Gotta get it just right. Yeah, and that's easy. It's a little bit of a shinier inside. Let's see. It's just plastic. Yeah, there's not like any velvet or anything like that. We've got the 2 USB spots right on the side there. Let's see what that looks like. Cool. I like it. Yeah, that's a slick looking system. That's a cool looking system. You know what? For the fun of it, I'm going to put in this one. Let's see what that looks like. Okay. That's still cool. The white dock just does something new, you know? The middle part of my entertainment center is where the 3 current generation, 9th gen video game consoles are. I've got the PlayStation 5, the Nintendo Switch, and the Xbox Series X. This just happens to be white and now having a white and black look. Originally, the Nintendo Switch kind of more matched the Xbox Series X, and now it will kind of more match the PlayStation 5. Depending on what Joy-Cons you put in, you know, because I have the blue and the gray Joy-Cons. Well, the blue and the red, and then the gray Joy-Cons, and then I also have the neon green and neon yellow ones that came with the Super Mario Party a couple of years ago. That was a nice bundle. Yeah, this is solid. This is really nice. Here we have the new HDMI cable, which is of a higher quality. So I'm going to be connecting that from my TV into this dock and replacing the old dock. We've got our power cord, USB Type-C, nothing new there. And they're giving us a couple of the top rails for the Joy-Cons themselves and a new Joy-Con grip. Let's put those in the Joy-Con grip. The Joy-Con, that is. Let's see what that looks like. You know, I applaud Nintendo on the Joy-Cons themselves. I haven't experienced a drift personally, and I've had it for 4.5 years, you know? Well, yeah, 4 years, and, ooh, that's cool. Oh, it's good. 4 years and 8 months. That's nice. That was pretty slick. But what I was getting to is, you know, I applaud Nintendo on all the Joy-Cons that they've produced, all the different colors, but I really wished personally that they would have had more Nintendo Switch Pro controllers. Yeah, they have a few, like the Xenoblade Chronicles Edition and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate being another one, Splatoon being another one, but I would have liked just, give me blue, right? Give me a red one, give me a green one, give me a yellow one, give me those classic Nintendo 64 colors. You know, make an atomic purple, you know, see-through. Hopefully, they expand the love for the Pro controllers. That looks nice. I know people out there have, for a long time, replaced the shells with, you know, white or a variety of colors, specifically with the Joy-Cons. But for me, this is my first time having it. I actually did a custom job, though, and I like the way that the white and black contrast each other. I think it's very slick. My friend and I, several years ago, with the Wii U Pro controller, took the white one and the black one, and we mixed and matched them. So the black had the white buttons and the white analog stick and buttons on top, D-pad shining through, and the white one had the black. I personally liked that. I liked the white controller with all the black buttons, black analog sticks, black on top, having the shine through. We made it half and half, dual layered, top white, bottom black, top black, bottom white, and then the buttons matching. And like, that was really cool. So this kind of reminds me of that, and that's kind of why I picked this, where, it's just something different. Otherwise, I would have had another set of blue and red Joy-Cons. Instead, I have something totally different. So that adds to, just more variety. And yeah, that is a noticeably bigger screen. Let's see, I'm going to take off the Joy-Cons off of the original Nintendo Switch and hold the two in my hands side by side. Static cling. Electricity likes it. The bottom's a bit different. We have our vents. Slightly different location. Still got the USB. Well, that's why the vent was in a different location. My mistake on that one. This is the bottom of the system. Now, you were looking at the top. That's why they were very different. Yeah, the bottom of the system actually largely the same. No vent difference there. The top of the system is what I should compare next. But like I said, that has a little bit of a different vent approach. The volume up and down buttons on the new Nintendo Switch are different. They're more rectangular, a little bit thinner. The power button also is different. It's more oval than circular. Vents already a little bit different like we discussed. There is something next to the screw, which is next to the vent, that's on the OLED model. That's not on the original Switch model. Not entirely sure what does this occupy. What does this represent? The game card slot next to the audio jack. Audio jack is roughly the same, but a little bit of a different design. Yeah, the speaker and the headphones still represented there, but it's just a perfect circle on the OLED model versus it being a half circle on the original. People have said that the game card slot is a little bit trickier to open. It might be. Okay, you got to dig your nail in just a little bit more. It has a nice click though. Very secure click. This one, well, it's been used a lot, but the new one seems to be of a better quality, I would say. However, I kind of do like that this has a little bit of an indentation for your nail. My nails typically grow fast though, so I'm not left, struggling to open this up, but probably actually has a really nice click going back into place, and the pull out is even very solid. But yeah, probably having a little bit of a lip would have been okay. Overall, really good. They're virtually identical in terms of width. Probably to the naked eye, you would find it very hard to see it, but people have expressed online that, yeah, it is a little bit of a difference in specific third-party grips that are, meant to expand the Joy-Cons and make them a little bit more ergonomic for your hands. Just don't quite fit, right? Because it has to be perfect, and even being a half a millimeter wider, it changes it up enough. Overall, I really like the build. I like the quality. It's very nice. It feels like a significant improvement from a hardware manufacturing design. I think it bodes well for the future of what Nintendo is going to do with the Nintendo Switch, whether that's a Nintendo Switch Plus, Nintendo Switch 2, the new Nintendo Switch 4K, Nintendo Switch Pro, which is a very common one. I don't think they're going to call it that. But whatever it is, I think OLED is probably the way to go. It'll be interesting to see, do they make a Nintendo Switch Lite OLED model? Do they eventually phase out the original Nintendo Switch or the red box Switch, which mine is not, but that one, and just, find a way to throw in OLED as a new base Switch, have the Lite, reduce the price of the Lite, eventually OLED have that reduced price, and then that's when you introduce the new one. Nintendo has to be careful not to have too many Nintendo Switch options on the market. You have a Lite, a base Switch, an OLED. a Nintendo Switch Plus and a Nintendo Switch 2. At that point, I think you have too many options, a little bit too much in terms of, variety without necessarily having the most distinguished differences for the mass market. And you kind of lead to confusion. But then again, you could just market it, intelligently, which I'm sure Nintendo knows how to do, and have distinct differences right there on the box, what each one can or cannot do, price points and stuff. But still, at that point, even with the clever marketing campaign, that many currently on the market might be too much, right? So I don't think we're going to get to a point where we have that many. Something will either be phased out or something won't come out and something else will. Like we might not get a Switch 2 and a Switch, Pro in between while having these other three there, unless if one gets phased out, like OG Switch out, OLED in. Then I could see Lite, Switch OLED occupying that new space, Switch Pro, Switch 2. That's a little bit better, right? We'll see. It depends on how long Nintendo wants to drag out the generation, and I don't say drag out in a bad way. Like I said, it's very healthy. We have several Nintendo IP that have yet to be realized in the Nintendo Switch ecosystem in any way, right? Like, now's the time you could bust out a wave race, a 1080p snowboarding, an Excite Bike. You could combine the three into one Nintendo Extreme Sports Racing, which if you haven't seen that video, I'd recommend checking it out. It's a pretty cool one that I enjoyed making. Beyond Punch-Out, you could go back and do another Golden Sun. There's still more room for a 3D Mario, for a new 2D Mario game. That's not a building game. That's not a new Super Mario's game, but like, a brand new 2D approach to that, a brand new Star Fox. After you port Zero over, bring a new Star Fox. We've got new consoles that will probably come to the Nintendo Switch Online service. Probably Game Boy is next. Could we see like a Sega Saturn, a Nintendo GameCube, a Sega Dreamcast? That would be pretty wild. I've had a lot of fun with my Sega Genesis Classic controller and my Nintendo 64, especially that one, Classic controller, playing those games and other games, because you could play any games with any controller on Nintendo Switch on my TV. Like, it's fantastic. So there really is a lot of room to expand, and I think Nintendo is in an awesome place. Like, this is the most powerful Nintendo that there's ever been. That's the reason why they're going to be spending an additional close to $900 million in expanded game development. I think that's terrific. But yeah, this video went from unboxing to a little bit of a hype talk on the future of Nintendo, where I see them going, where I think they are at now, where are they now, and just the general outlook, the vibe. It's strong, it's positive. I'd like to hear your comments. How did I do on the unboxing? How did I do on the talk of Nintendo in comparison to other systems? What this thing does, what it doesn't do? Is it for you? I'm going to give my feedback eventually on what do I actually think of the system itself, playing games on it. Right now, this impression is, very solid, definitely an improvement. But I have yet to actually play it, so will my mind change? We'll find out. All right, thanks for watching. This is PGN signing out. I hope you all have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Take it easy. Bye.